Well, hello there. This is Paige Lockton from the Magic of Horsecraft, here to discuss those muddy grounds in between warring factions. Is it natural horsemanship? Is it R positive or clicker training? Is it pressure and release? Is it the TRT method? Who should we listen to? There are people warring and they don't need to be at war. There's so much that we can learn from knowing how horses think. So, this is a friend of mine and a client, and their 3-year-old horse, and I wanted to show you the results of really conscientious learning and application of both negative reinforcement, which is pressure and release, and positive reinforcement, also known as clicker training. And this is a 3-year-old horse, quarter horse, bred from the Hancock lines, and at his second show ever. That's her ringing the bell really loud and him not flinching, and going over all kinds of things, some of which he's seen before and some of which he's never seen before. And I think this is just a beautiful example of combining the best of both worlds in terms of negative and positive reinforcement with conscientious application from a perspective of somebody who understands how horses think and what motivates their learner. So when they came last fall, it had been a journey with a lot of reward used, but pretty much entirely through pressure and release. And what is that? What is negative reinforcement? What is pressure and release? You want to think of it not as negative as in bad, as in negative as in removing something to reinforce a behavior. So in pressure and release, we are applying and escalating pressure until we get the response we want, and then releasing it to encourage the response that we want. In positive reinforcement, it's not that it's better, positive, good. It just means that we are adding something when we see the moment that they give us the behavior we want. So we're marking the moment and following it with a pause, with adding a reinforcement to it. So this horse had been trained entirely pretty much with negative reinforcement, and she was afraid to try positive reinforcement around food and that sort of thing because she worried that he would mug, but she agreed to do it out of an experiment that I wanted to do right here in my backyard. God bless her for that. And she did really well. They followed a 20-week program put out by Mustang Maddie where you had to video yourselves, and they graduated and they did all of the things. So there's targeting and standing still on a mat and following and all kinds of behaviors. And they learned how to set boundaries around food and respect around food, how to read what kind of a learner and what motivates their horse, how to keep their interest, how to time their rewards. And they ended up with a horse that I think shows a lot more interest and joy in what they're doing. So you can get a horse to go through the motions and do things like we're seeing them do on the video here today. I do wish that we had a little bit more close-ups. We'll have to talk to our videographer, her husband. And what I'm interested in is that he does these things not just obediently, which he did when he came. He was obedient, but a little bit like a truculent teenager. Do I have to? And all of his exercises were along the lines from a trainer that was get them to yield, get them to soften, get them to give, get them to yield. And needed to be that way because we needed to produce, or they needed to produce, a young horse that could be very soft for someone with damaged hands that needs a really soft horse in their hands. And they worked, but I didn't see a lot of joy. Now, having added the positive reinforcement, there's just sort of extra motivation and pep in their step. The horse is interested in what they're doing, and I think they show that here. So super proud of them. They went to their second ever mountain trail horse show, and they were second to very advanced regular competitors. And I'm just reading their stats here. It was a mountain trail challenge at a schooling event, and this was a senior in-hand class. So with just a couple of points between them and the lead. So thrilled to bits to be able to show you that you can combine positive and negative reinforcement conscientiously to create a relationship where a 3-year-old horse thinks, yeah, this is a fun way to spend an afternoon. Because really, that's all that we're looking for, isn't it? Aren't we just looking for a fun way to spend time with our horses? So I would suggest that if it's not, and if you are confused between methodologies, that you hang on to a few things. It's just a learning curve away. You need to understand all the quadrants of how to reinforce a behavior with negative or positive reinforcement, and how they learn and think and what they need, and how to set up their antecedents to learning. So how to set up their environment so that they are likely to produce what you're hoping they will. You need to know if what you're hoping they'll do is realistic and that it doesn't go over threshold, and to understand a horse's nervous system and how it works. And I can keep that quite simple for you. It's not in today's lesson, but it doesn't need to be intimidating learning, but I think it should be mandatory learning so that you know which methods that may or may not be called natural horsemanship methods might flood a horse's nervous system, which ones don't, and if you have a choice, which ones feel better to you to use. Not understanding could have you doing things that don't feel good to you and your horse in the end. So if you have any questions, let me know here. And I am going to encourage you on your learning journey. I was an advanced level 3D event rider, and I am still learning and looking at ways to create happy partnerships with horses. Never stop learning. Thanks for tuning in. Give me your feedback and take a chance. Remember, anything is possible together.